Hello everyone. Today we're going to be reading The Best Nest by P.D. Eastman. So we got Mama Bird, it's a birdhouse, some kind of bird. Wonder what's going to happen. The Best Nest, written and illustrated by P.D. Eastman. So we know that he wrote and illustrated it. Mr. Bird was happy. He was so happy he had to sing. This was Mr. Bird's song. I love my house. I love my nest. In all the world, my nest is best. So he's singing. There's Mrs. Bird, I assume. Then Mrs. Bird came out of the house. It's not the best nest, she said. So he thinks it's the best nest and she doesn't. I'm tired of this old place, said Mrs. Bird. I hate it. Let's look for a new place right now. So she really doesn't like the nest, but he loves it. So they left the old place to look for a new one. This place looks nice, said Mr. Bird. Let's move in here. Wonder what they found. But somebody else had already moved in. So he's already got that spot. They can't have it. They looked at another house. This one looks nice, said Mr. Bird, and there's nobody in it. They found a boot. I wonder what's going to happen. You're wrong, said Mrs. Bird. This house belongs to a foot. Oh, the guy stepped in. So they ran off. So they went on looking. I like this one, said Mr. Bird. It has a pretty red flag on the roof. I've always wanted a house with a flag, said Mrs. Bird. Maybe this place will be all right. Ooh, it's a mailbox. But it was not all right. I guess I made a mistake, said Mr. Bird. So they can't live in there because he's going to put the mail in. You make too many mistakes, said Mrs. Bird. I'm going to pick the house. And here it is, right here. So she found, looks like a church. They flew in. They looked around. Isn't it too big? Said Mr. Bird. I think it's too big. I like this place, said Mrs. Bird. This is the place to build our new nest. So she likes it a lot, but he's not feeling it. They went right to work. They needed many things to build their nest. First, they got some hay. They got some soda straws and broom straws. They got those and they took her soda straw. And so they got some sweater string. Oh, they're taking apart his sweater. That's funny. They got some stocking string. Oh, they're getting his socks. And mattress stuffing. Oh, they're tearing apart his hammock. That's mean. They got some horse hair. Oh, they're taking his hair. They got some man hair. Oh, they're going at him. He's not going to have much hair any longer. Soon they had all the hay, all the straw, all the string, all the stuffing, all the horsehair, and all the man hair they could carry. They took it all back to build their nest. They get all the stuff they needed, and they take it back. Mr. and Mrs. Bird worked very hard. It took them the rest of the morning to finish their nest. This nest is really the best, said Mrs. Bird. I want to stay here forever. So she likes it. I don't think he likes it too much still. Mr. Bird was very happy too. Oh, I was wrong. He flew to the top of his house and sang his song again. I love our house. I love our nest. In all the world, our nest is best. He was so busy singing, he didn't even see Mr. Parker coming. Every day at 12 o'clock, Mr. Parker came to the church. Mr. Parker came to pull a rope. The rope went up to the bird's new nest. Ooh, what's going to happen? The rope rang the big bell right under Mrs. Bird's nest. Bong, bong, bong. Oh, the bell rang. I don't know if their nest is going to make it. Mrs. Bird got out of there as fast as she could fly. Bong, 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 bong. When Mr. Bird came in, all he could see was a mess of hay and string and stuffing and horsehair and manhair and straws. Where was Mrs. Bird? So, yep, their house is all torn apart. I will look for her until I find her, said Mr. Bird. He looked high, he looked low, he looked everywhere for Mrs. Bird. He looked down into a chimney, but Mrs. Bird wasn't there. Do you think she'd be in a chimney? I don't think so. He looked down into a water barrel, but Mrs. Bird wasn't there. Oh, I don't know if the horses like him being there. Then he saw a big fat cat. There was a big fat smile on the fat cat's face. There were some pretty brown feathers near the fat cat's mouth. Oh no. Mr. Bird began to cry. Oh dear, he cried. This big fat cat has eaten Mrs. Bird. Oh, that's no good. Mr. Bird flew off. I'll never see Mrs. Bird again, he cried. It was getting dark. It began to rain. It rained harder and harder. Mr. Bird could not see where he was going. Crash! Mr. Bird bumped into something. Oh, look. Crashed right into something. I wonder what it is. It was his old house. That old house that Mrs. Bird hated. I'll go inside, said Mr. Bird. I'll rest in here until the rain stops. So he decided to go inside. Mr. Bird went in, and there was Mrs. Bird, sitting there singing, I love my house, I love my nest. In all the world, this nest is best. You here? Gasped Mr. Bird. But I thought you hated this old nest. Mrs. Bird smiled. I used to hate it, she said, but a mother bird can change her mind. You see, there's no nest like an old nest for a brand new bird. Mrs. Bird had it peeled. It's an egg. And when the egg popped open, the new bird thought so too. Aww, they had a kid. And it looks like that's the end. So that was The Best Nest by P.D. Eastman. Let's double check. And yep, written and illustrated by P.D. Eastman. So I don't know about you guys, but I really liked that book. See you next time.